Hey everybody, what's happening? We are live on this Friday the 24th of April in the year 2026 of our Lord. Good morning, welcome to the Gareth Cliff Show. Again, awesome start to your Friday. It's definitely becoming a very, very pleasant routine, and after what happened, well, we'll be on May the 1st. That's when a lot seems to happen. So we've got plenty to talk to you about, and we're also introducing something in the next couple of days. Slides, short, sharp, stuff. No fucking around. And this is what I'm looking for. Certainly, I think if you create something in the market, we spoke about this just last week, that either nobody else is doing or that you could do better than anyone else, then you're launching something that's valuable. So that's what I'm hoping to do here. And we look forward to your feedback once we go live with that as well. All right. Couple of comments that I have to refer to first thing in the morning, and then we'll bring Ben in. But I have to say here, Chris Smith, we started spot on time this morning. I don't know if you noticed. But yeah, here we are. Top of the morning, early risers from Marcel. And lots of people in the comments already who are up and at it first thing in the morning. That's good. I love Fridays. And there's a long weekend. Don't forget, Monday's a holiday and Friday's a holiday. So if you're expecting anyone in South Africa to work next week, good luck. It ain't going to happen. They're going to be useless. There are a whole lot of people already taking off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So good luck. If, like me, you are going to try and get some productive stuff done, we'll see if it happens. All right. Here's Benjamin Karpinski, who is...
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people are very distracted by these glasses of yours, and I know you've already spoken about them. Yeah, but Ben, I mean, it does, there's this fine line, right, between... And I know that you aren't some idiot, otherwise I wouldn't want to spend time with you or have you on the show. But every trend that comes up, whether it's the blue light or the cold baths or any of that shit, some people overdo it because, I mean, there are people who are trying to make their lives better, to optimize every part of their existence, which I know is a major motivation for you. Obviously, I have no problem with that, and I don't think anyone does. But there are all these people who hop onto a bandwagon, and we'll talk about Coachella later on, because that's a perfect example of how people have, by making something super trendy, it attracts a whole lot of not early adopters, but people who want to be popular and want to be seen to be doing the cool thing. And then it just ruins that thing. It like spoils it. Maybe you're ahead of the curve on the glasses as well.
Yeah, okay. So two things. Firstly, I've just fucking woken up. Give me a break. This unflattering camera comes off my laptop over here. It makes me look about 70 years old, okay? So I'm easing into my day, and these glasses help me do that. I've got a studio light on me to try and make this look professional. I'm not just like pushing my eyes straight into it. It's 6:04. If anyone wants to have a fucking go at me, you're a prick. But secondly, Gareth, it's such a good point you make there about like trends. Like what makes a trend? A trend is a good idea about doing something better or in a more fun way. Okay, that's essentially how these things work. That's why when things become trendy, like fashion, somebody wanted to look better and they found a way of doing it. Cool, that's a trend. And then, you know what? I was watching this thing about Coachella yesterday and how it's like the influencer Olympics. And a part of me is like, this is lame. And a part of me is like, no, this is just humans. We cannot actually be too scathing about this, because this is just what's always going to happen. Something cool happens. Let's just say 100 people do it. So in 1999, Coachella started, and it was meant to be this alternative against the system kind of thing. And how it all starts is that, yeah, it's cool. It doesn't make a lot of money. So the organizers start with like their heart in the game, right? And then their head's like, oh shit, I can make money. And then people go, I want to do cool things as well. So all of these things are actually natural. Coachella is actually not the problem. it's just humans, and there's tiers of how things happen with humans. The trendsetters start things, the original people who had good ideas and good intentions, and then after that, every average doer just wants to be part of the fun. And how can you blame them?
No, sure. We'll talk about this because you sent me that clip of the guy who was talking about Coachella, and I mean, listen, we in South Africa, most people in this country wouldn't know what it was. Coachella is this music festival they have in the desert in a place called Indio, I think it's in California. Anyway, it's this venue that a bunch of cool bands somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s decided they wanted to make a new. Well, frankly, they weren't being booked for gigs at all the traditional places, so it was almost a rebellion against the old way of doing things. And as usual, first of all, huge corporate interests get involved, which can be good or it can be horrible. Most likely, it's going to be horrible. But what ended up happening is that for a couple of years, they were making so little money. In fact, they were running at a loss, and
Massively.
they almost had to close. They almost had to close the company down.
Well, Gareth, the one guy went into such financial problems that his marriage failed completely. The guy's life was an absolute disaster. He put everything he could into just trying to service the debts from the first couple of years.
Jesus. Well, now between 150 and 200,000 people a year go to Coachella, and it's become. I mean, you saw those pictures of Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau, the Ken doll of Canada. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I've been to a couple of festivals. They can be loads of fun. But really, it's an excuse for two things. An excuse to say you were there if you want to be in the in-group. And for many people, that's the prime motivation behind so many of these things. Is the reason they acquire stuff is because they want to be part of the in-group. I got the latest phone, or I heard this music before you. This is, as you say, an ongoing human thing. It's never going to go away. But the other group of people who do this are druggies, really. They're people who just want to be able to do to engage in all their bad habits together in one place because it's more socially acceptable. So if you're a massive drug user, or you love letting your tits out, or whatever it is that people do, this is the place where you can get away with it. And there are well-intentioned people. I don't want to by any means paint anyone with the same brush here, all of the people who go there, because there must be people who are genuinely into the experience of, having a break from reality in the desert, place where you don't have to engage with work, social media, all of that stuff, which is becoming, the more people I talk to at the moment, the one thing I'm realizing, talk about trends, and this is already happening in a very big way, is that people are just they're turned off in every way by AI slop, by clickbait, by brain rot, by the algorithm. They're also tired of people gaming the algorithm to try and keep their attention. They're sick of being made to react. They're tired of being stimulated by the internet 24/7. Rage baiting, clips that are designed just to evoke an emotional response. People are starting to click. Look, a lot of people, not everybody. They're starting to click that this stuff is very bad for us and that it's doing us no good at all. And if I were to bet money on what the next big trend is going to be, I would say it is either people just abandoning social media and the internet for content completely, or curating it in a super fine and specified way so that it doesn't rule their lives or try to turn them into the product. And then there's going to be a group of people who find a way to re-inject substance and meaning and virtue and value into everything that they put out on the internet. And those are the only two options ahead, because if we're going to keep doing, I saw a clip this week of, it's obviously AI generated nonsense, of like Alec Hogg and Cyril Ramaphosa having a fight on an SABC news show. And I saw Alec post a clip afterwards. Alec Hogg does a business show. He runs BizNews. And he posted a clip afterwards where he said, this never happened. This is not a thing that happened. And yet the clip was at that point in the hundreds of thousands of views. And I just thought, wow, we are going down a dark path. Because a lot of dumb people, they were always dumb people. They'll read the stories about the aliens who are coming to invade Earth, or the Yeti discovered in the mountains, or woman who gives birth to an 8-headed baby, all that kind of shit. That's always happened. You knew people were dumb when they were buying You magazine and reading the stories about the 8-fingered person. Now, people are dumb if they fall for this. If you get, it's like during COVID when people were forwarding all kinds of like fear-based stuff. They're doing it because they don't understand that this is, first of all, wrong. It's bullshit. And second of all, they're doing it because they want to be part of the news crew that bring it to you. It's very weird.
Yeah, there's just a weird thing around playing catch up in life. So again, humans are going to human, right? So I think you just got to have one of those things. You got to like stuff. You got to be good at stuff. You got to want to do things, and then you won't be the one who's catching up on things all the time. I think people get upset how, the Masters this year, for golf example, it was referred to as being Coachellaed. So now it's almost become like a phrase that when something becomes mainstream, it gets the Coachella effect. And the people who are on that bandwagon are people who just go with the wind a lot of the time. And some people like to live life like that. Also can't be too scathing of it. But it's a natural thing, like what you said, like when brands start to get involved in something, that's when it becomes shit. But brands have to sell stuff. So they're always going to get involved in things. I think it's everything is there. And
maybe the point is, but maybe the point is, it depends on when you hop onto the trend. If you hop onto the trend once it's already a majority cool thing, then you're proving nothing. You're not, like, let's take skinny jeans, for example, right? These used to be a big thing. And we've all had a pair of skinny jeans over the last 10, maybe 12 years because everyone was wearing them. I see... And maybe it's just, again, maybe it's the algorithm feeding me stuff. I see a whole lot of people rebelling and saying, we're not wearing those stupid fucking pants anymore. We want normal pants. And I think there will still be some people who are wearing skinny jeans in 2-3 years' time. And everybody will go, oh, well, maybe they just prefer them. And they could be rebels. They could also just be very, very slow people who don't catch on quickly.
But they could also live in Delmas, where maybe they've just arrived. There's a chronology, there's a cycle to all of this stuff, and when you get on is when you get on.
Oh wow! Okay, so Sloth Puppy says, in our town, the vegan vampires keep on attacking trees. I'm not sure if that's either a joke or you live in. What is that series of novels that chick wrote that they made into the Twilight movies? Twilight, right?
I don't know what her name was.
Actual vampires. Yeah, I don't know who she is either. Again, a trend, right? So for a while...
Was her name Twilight? Twilight by Twilight.
Tracy says it's like back in the day, Facebook used to be cool, and then grannies and aunties and couples with joint accounts joined. Yeah.
And then corporate accounts joined.
So listen to this latest breaking news. A large study involving 36,000 participants found that taking a break from Facebook and Instagram for up to 6 weeks significantly improved emotional well-being. You don't say, especially among young women and older adults. Conducted by Stanford University, the research suggests that reducing social media can benefit mental health, although some gains may come from switching to other apps rather than fully reducing screen time, reinforcing concerns about the broader impact of addictive digital platforms. There's a lot in there that you already knew. But James and I were having a conversation just before the show started about Facebook. And really, I mean, the app isn't on my phone. I check it for one reason and one reason only, and that is birthdays. It's a great repository when people have put their birthdays on. There are a lot of people who don't on purpose because they want to see if you remember. It's a almost passive aggressive thing that some people do. They're like, I'm not going to tell people my birthday. I'm just going to wait for them to message me, and then I know they're real friends. But Facebook to me has no other use, none.
Sorry, guys. I think my internet's a bit slow this morning. I think nowadays it's so third world. When it rains, it doesn't gig properly.
I
Like
thought
I'm
you just
missing a gap here.
I thought you were just autistic.
Well, there's also 10% of that, so it's all in the mix.
So
I mean,
go on.
yeah, on the Facebook thing, Bitcoin makes a good point in the comments, is that a lot of people actually use it for marketplace, and it's one of the low-key, more interesting things you can do with Facebook, because there's so many people that are still on it. Not you and I, obviously, clearly, but there's so many people on it who are looking to do things other than talk to each other, flog stolen goods or whatever it may be. Marketplace is a big deal, apparently.
Again, all I know is that when people bring up Facebook Marketplace, it almost inevitably is a story of a scam. I saw something. By the way, if you hear that noise, it's not me farting; it's my dog snoring. I saw something yesterday which really pissed me off, and that hasn't happened for a long time. I was driving behind this guy, and I brought up a similar story the other day, but I saw it happen. It's almost like nature is God or the universe is sending me these messages. There was this old car with KZN number plates. I mean, like a terrible car that obviously hasn't been maintained. And there was a guy throwing receipts, like takeaway receipts he pulled over to the side of the road. There's this empty piece of lawn. It's meant to be a park, I suppose, but it hasn't been maintained. This is near my house. And this guy threw out like handfuls of receipts, papers onto the. So I remember last time I said I wish I'd said something. So I decided, fuck this. So I pull up next to him. There's no one else on the road at that point. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? But I'm not like angry. I'm like, what are you doing? And this guy loses his shit. He's a big fat Indian dude, and he's got his wife or sister or his fat mom next to him. I couldn't tell. And he's throwing papers out of the window, and then he loses his shit with me like I'm the one who should be minding my own business. That I'm the problem. And there was a part of me, it was like, I don't travel with a gun. I don't keep it in my car. A lot of people I know do, and there are all kinds of hazards with doing that. I almost thought, how you go through things post the scenario in your head, and you're like, how could I have handled that better? Because I only started shouting at him when he started shouting at me. Then I wound down my window and I said, you're a disgrace. You're an embarrassment. You're a disgrace. You're exactly the kind of person who makes everything in life more shit. And I should have said, and you're fat and you're poor, and that's why you're fat and poor, because you behave like this. And your fat mom you should drop her off as well, because she's embarrassed by all of this. She shouldn't have to travel with you. But I also thought if I did travel with a gun, it would have been such a like movie star thing to just pick the gun up from the side and hold it and say to him, now you pick those papers up, and watch him pick up every paper and then just drive away. But, obviously you can't, that's illegal. You're threatening someone. You're brandishing a firearm in public. There's so many things that you can't do. And I didn't have my gun in any case, but I just wondered about whether it would be worth, we teach people state education. We're paying, I think it's a third of our budget in this country. So taxpayers are spending 1/3 of the money that government takes on education. And we're getting terrible results for it because we have illiterate and innumerate students who are unemployable by the end of school. I was thinking, they're in school anyway. Why don't we devote one class a week, it can be an hour, to civics, to teaching people about civic responsibility, how the world is not about you. If you throw shit out of your car, some other guy or some woman is going to have to pick that up. And if you don't throw it out, they can do other things that are more productive than picking up your rubbish. It's like the guy who who was shaving his balls in the gym the other day. If he was taught manners and civics and basic social responsibility, we'd have less problems in the world. It would just be easier. I put this video up this week. Clearly, this is becoming like my bugbear, right? I put up this video this week of how people don't put their own trolleys back. And I know that, for many people, it's creating employment. That's the excuse that lazy people will use. I make a point of taking my trolley back, even if I'm parked far away, and putting it with the other trolleys. It's not a difficult thing to do, but in doing that, you're not only taking responsibility for your own use of the trolley, which frankly, the least you could do is just take it back. In some countries, you have to pay for the trolley. And I just see too many people who will, someone will take it because we've always got unemployed people around in South Africa, and let them do this meaningless task because I'm too lazy to do it, and then I can feel better about myself by giving them 5 or 10 rand. I don't think it's right. I think people have got to develop that sense of responsibility again. I know maybe I sound like a boring old fart about this stuff, but I just don't.
Yeah, you do. No, you do.
I don't.
There's fucking levels to this game, right? It's a trolley. Can we get back to the shooting, please? So, did you see in Emerentia, a guy got shot? It was a self-defense thing.
What happened?
James, can you bring up a picture? Is this the guy that Gareth almost got into a fight with?
Might be. Maybe that's why he's cross.
Rest in peace and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but Gareth, the other thing about the guns and violence in this country is that I think anywhere else in the world you can get away with it because most people are pussies. In this country, you never know what people are packing here. That Indian guy's mother is probably sitting on an AK. You don't know.
Yeah,
he's probably got a grenade in his left pocket. But it's so infuriating. And I think exactly to your idea, if people just learned that there's more to this world than them. Was that him?
Wow. No, it wasn't him, but he looked similar.
Okay.
He looked similar. Yeah, so what happened to this poor dude?
He got killed in an alleged road rage accident, but the NPA won't prosecute because there's a self-defense claim in the mix here. So when I saw the story about the self-defense, I thought maybe this is your guy, because maybe he was throwing papers out somewhere else.
Oh, hang on. I think I did see something about this. There were 3 people involved, right? And this one guy, he provoked the whole thing. He was the one who was killed.
Well, yeah, there's layers to the story. So apparently there was both sides had guns. So this is exactly the point I want to make, is that your litter guy, if you pulled a gun, he might have had a gun. And Gareth, you could have been the Emerentia story this week.
Hey, I'm glad I don't carry when I'm driving around. And I hope, listen, it's bound to happen with all of us. If you drive badly and and someone corrects you, your immediate response is like, fuck you. But if I'm in the wrong, I've done this. I could fucking promise you I've done this. I'll go, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, or thank you if they let you in or whatever, because I know I'm often wrong on the roads. And it's not just me, it's everybody. Like, people just forget how to do stuff. And then instead of going, hey, I'm sorry, or yeah, you're right, let me clean up that shit. I'd be so embarrassed if I were that guy. But instead he gets angry with me. It's my fault, which anyway, look, let's just move on. The son trying to give his father CPR. Apparently that happened at the scene as well. Donna says, I explained to my grade 5s that rubbish goes into our waterways and that eventually lands up in our water systems, which affects our fresh drinking water. And what will we do with no fresh water? The reality is also that people who are in survival mode don't care about the environment at all. If you're living for a hand to mouth, and this is something I wish that Western leaders would take more seriously, because they're always talking about the climate or the environment, or how, forests are being destroyed in the Amazon and there's pollution everywhere. I'm doing it this morning. But what they don't realize is that poor and desperate people do not give a shit about the environment at all. The environment is number 512 on their list of priorities. They couldn't care about that stuff. And if you think you're going to cram down laws on people who are in survival mode, good luck, because they don't give a shit about your laws. So there's this huge dichotomy between the people who actually do care about the environment because they're not living in perpetual hunger and desperation. And then there are people who the environment is there to be used. If I need to shit, I'll shit here. If I need to drink, I'll drink from there. If I need to kill, I'll kill this. If I need to chop down a tree, I'll chop down a tree. Those people are completely not interested in some like Green Party carbon dioxide reduction plan. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, you see a lot of that with this whole idea of immigration, is that you think people are going to come here because they want to live better lives. You know, we spoke about this, I think, a few weeks ago, is that they go to a place because they just want to take stuff, not because maybe they're not very malicious, but when you're constantly in survival mode, as you mentioned, that's the only way you can grasp things. It's just, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, that's probably about right. So let's talk about Coachella for a second, because maybe people who don't know what it is will get some inspiration. We've got a couple of clips from influencers. We were talking about how it becomes uncool when everybody's doing it, but there's also this influencer Olympics that you were talking about, because these people, again, they become desperate because they're in survival mode. So you got a lot of these influencers who are so desperate to be at Coachella, and they literally beg brands. They run through a list of brands that they directly appeal to for money and for tickets and for accommodation, and the amounts of money are staggering. James, you got one of those clips. Let's just put this up and show people what we're talking about here.
One of the examples of the plethora of influencers literally begging brands to take them to Coachella so they could show their products the entire time.
If there's any brands out there that would like to take a micro influencer to Coachella weekend too, please, 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 I'll do it. I've been to Coachella. I'm a pro. I went to Baychella. I was a guest there. I went the year before that. I'm a retired 365 party girl. I literally won't drink or smoke or do anything on that trip. I will just post the best content ever and promote the brand, and I'll have so much fun. And please, 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 I want to go. I want to go so bad.
How are you not embarrassed making this video? If you truly want to go this bad, then go buy a ticket. But they're not willing to pay for it. They want to go on someone else's dime, just to promote some products to their apparent small following, because they said themselves that they're a micro influencer. And a comment from you guys sums this up very nicely. The problem with Coachella is the influencers. They made it a thing, so prices went up, and now it's for celebrities and influencers for brand events. They ruined it like everything else they touch.
Mm-hmm. It's about right.
I'll give you some basic numbers here, Gareth. So the general access, I think, started out at $2,000. So just to get there, okay, just to be there on the floor before you pay for anything, $2,000 US. Then closer to the time, that goes up to about 8,000 to go to Coachella on the floor, right? 60% of all people who go do it on credit card, debt, buy now, pay later systems. 60%. 60. Fuck.
Apparently one of the things that was happening is that, you know, it's near Palm Springs, and there are a lot of Airbnb properties that are listing. You can stay there while you're at Coachella, because, you know, Coachella's like a dusty festival, and you're going to be dirty and stinky within a couple of hours. You'll want to wash the sand out of your eyes, and probably your drugs will kick in at some point, and then they'll stop kicking in, and you'll want to crash. So these Airbnbs were confirming bookings from people, and then when these people went to take the Airbnb for the weekend, or for two nights, 3 nights, whatever it was, they'd say, "Oh no, sorry, we've given it to someone else," because the Airbnbs realized if they just didn't honor their bookings, they could get way more money from desperate people whose accommodation had fallen through. They could charge them like 10 times the amount. And so some really gross behavior is coming out from people too. If you are an Airbnb in Palm Springs and you decided to just wantonly, randomly cancel someone's booking because you could see a chance of making more money out of the last minute bookers, it's just, you could see bad behavior piled on bad behavior piled on bad behavior here. But I don't know, James, have you got some of those clips of the influencers? Because I can't believe these people have the gall to call themselves influencers. I've always hated the term. I think most people who call themselves influencers are just worth ignoring. The exact opposite of influence is what they're peddling. They're peddling like just stupidity and normie, boring, middle of the road shit. And they're just cloying and vulgar and venal and desperate for attention. But here we go. Just watch some of these clips. You'll see what I mean. These are the worst people.
This is why you, as a brand, should invite me to Coachella. from a marketing perspective. And trust me, I will only take a minute of your time. Number one, my engagement goes crazy. This past year alone, I've accumulated 147 million views on TikTok, which is, if I'm correct, about 1/2 of the US population. I've gotten around 11 million likes and 5.5 million profile views. In the last 90 days on Instagram, I've accumulated around 63 million views and have reached almost 12 million individualized accounts. That is just a portion of what I've accumulated on Instagram this past year. I have accumulated so many more views on Instagram than TikTok this year. I can be a huge asset in reaching new target demographics. Number two, I have extreme flexibility in my style and the type of content I can create. These are all of my different looks, well, a few of them anyways, which shows that I have flexibility. I've also gone viral for get ready with me's, for day in the lives, for POVs, for skits, anything under the sun. I have gone viral for it, and that is because I am able to adapt. I am able to be what you want from a creator. I can elevate your brand.
Stop. I can't take any more. I don't know who that is.
It's fucking horrific.
Well,
also terrible visual representation of numbers if you're looking to actually impress by numbers.
I don't know. To me, I mean, there are obviously people who are willing to spend money with that person, and you know, if you've done your market research and you reckon that's the best way to get to your audience, and your audience approve of that, you're selling such rubbish that they will buy from that person, and hence from you. Yeah, maybe you know something I don't.
So in the comments, Tracy and Hermine make good points. Is that this is begging, this isn't influencing. So I always hate the term influencer, because what it comes back to is that if you have influence in life, is that you're doing something that other people will be interested in. But what is that thing? It's content creation. It's doing something that's unique. Those beggars over there, at no stage did they say, this is what I'm going to do because this is what my background is. This is what I specialize in. This is my experience. None of those things happen. They're just like, I'm going to whore myself to you. I'm going to whore myself to you. Where do you want it? That's what they were saying. And that's not influencing anymore. That literally is begging. And it's childlike. It's desperate. And I think also America does this better than any other country, right? There's just, there's no self-awareness here.
There are so many people in the world who should just admit what we all know in any case, is that they just want free stuff. They want a free t-shirt. They want a free experience. They want a free trip. They want a free can of petrol because petrol prices are through the roof.
I want to be a petrol influencer.
Yeah, just admit it. Guys, just tell us. Because, you know, I almost respect an OnlyFans whore more than this, because
totally
she's just...
They got a purpose.
Yeah, you want to see my titties? Here's how much I'm going to charge you. And it's an honest transaction. Right. All right.
No, really, I want to be a petrol influencer. Engine. I go to them all the time. I've got this many views.
I loved someone's comment in here about that guy. Oh, there's Cyril laughing. Where's my iPad? Someone in the comments said, was that Mary had a little lamb?
Yeah, that's the one that got away from the flock.
Bad. Okay, so let's turn our attention to happier things. We often talk on the show about, you know, relationships, dating, how difficult that's become for many of the reasons we've discussed in the last little bit. But I think many people are looking back on the way men and women used to behave in past eras as an inspiration. I see plenty of that coming up on social media too. People are like, well, you know, men used to dress properly. They didn't wear like tracksuit pants and tank tops when they were on a date. They didn't go to the airport and hop onto a plane if they weren't wearing a suit, and they didn't have a hat and all that kind of thing. And I think, again, for the sake of trend, which is the whole reason we started this Coachella discussion, trends change. People change. The way that we dress changes. You can't be too traditionalist about this stuff, but there is some behavior which is starting to make a return. I think people are starting to realize there are aspects of civilized society, of sophistication, of manners, of decency, of a little social tact that are starting to become valuable again, right? I mean, you sent me this thing the other day, which I couldn't wait to talk about on the show, and I'm sure there are going to be plenty of comments about this too. So guys, hop in. The way people dated in the 1930s it's almost like a different universe. Take us through some of these, because I think these are so useful.
It's a different universe, but it's relatable. So that's what, almost 100 years. Maths isn't the good thing on the show. But 100 years ago, the same things deep down were actually right and wrong.
Okay. All right. So these are not tips for women, right? So anybody who's just listening to the podcast.
It was always tips of women, Gareth. Yeah, it was always tips of women because men just knew.
Yeah, correct. Well, so you say. I mean, I didn't expect anything else, but go for it.
Well, I mean, Gareth, you're the host. You read these things.
All right. So men don't like girls who borrow their handkerchief and smudge them with lipstick. Make up in privacy, not where he sees you. This almost needs like a. This almost needs like a. And here we are back in the 1930s. Like my mic was doing last Friday. All right. The next one. We can comment on these later. Let's go to the next one, James. Careless women never appeal to men. Don't talk while dancing, for when a man dances, he wants to dance.
Yeah, well, he's just...
Really? I almost prefer it if someone talks to me while I'm dancing, because I can't dance. Then at least I can talk to them and pretend that's why I'm not dancing well. If you need a brassiere, wear one. Don't tug at your girdle, and be careful that your stockings are not wrinkled.
Yeah, fidgety behavior, huh? No one likes that.
But I mean, there are at least 2 items of clothing in that. Just go back, James. There's 2 items of clothing in that are no longer around, really. A girdle and stockings. I don't see people wearing a lot of stockings anymore. I don't see girls doing that. And maybe I'm not looking in the right places. Maybe in, workplaces, serious businesses, they still have to do that. Hopefully bras don't go away, because they do a lot of girls more good than bad. So yes, all right, ladies, let's just maintain a sense of humor about this. Ben and I are certainly not saying we want you to do all of this stuff, but it's worth paying attention to. Next one. Don't use a car mirror to fix your makeup. The man needs it in driving, and it annoys him very much to have to turn around to see what's behind him.
Yeah, well, that's just safety first, really. I mean, come on.
That makes sense. Don't be familiar with your escort by caressing him in public. Any open show of affection is bad taste. And what does it say there? Usually
embarrasses or humiliates him.
Okay, yeah. It's almost like doing that eye test at the doctor looking at this thing. But again, I don't see a huge amount of public displays of affection anymore, mostly because I don't see that many couples, sadly, around.
That's it, yeah. So sad.
So, there used to be a time where I would be, because I complain for a living, but there'd be a lot of people with public displays of affection. It would irritate me. But now I'm almost like, I'd like to see more of it. I like seeing people who are in love, who are really into each other. I mean, you don't want to see them like humping on the sofa in a nightclub, but it's nice when you go to a place and you can see a guy holding a girl's hand and sitting at a table, and you see that look in both of their eyes, like this is the most exciting thing. They're only thinking about that person. They're not distracted by anything else. It's very special. So I understand this, but I do think that, again, we're on this up and down curve all the time.
So, you know what, Gareth, everything you just said there, I totally agree with. Maybe in the 30s, being familiar be like annoying. Look at her grabbing his ear. I mean, that would annoy the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah. Well, shit, that woman. What they don't tell you about the 1930s is that in those days, another thing that has become unacceptable now, that used to be very acceptable, is he probably punched her in the face after she grabbed his ear, because that was what happened in those days.
Well,
whether you like it or not.
That's what brings up this next picture, Gareth.
All right, so don't be sent. Just hang on, Alice. Stop making such a fucking racket. It's the dog. Sorry. Don't be sentimental or try to get him to say something he doesn't want to by working on his emotions. Men don't like tears, especially in public places. Now, we have moved on from those days, but I would like a little more of this. A little more stoicism, a little more of people maintaining a bit of decorum in public. Every display of emotion is now tolerated. Screaming, you turn on the news and you see people crying and screaming and just behaving like emotional animals, and it's just so embarrassing. Stop it. We got to find a happy medium between that and like just dead cold reptilian behavior. There's got to be some Goldilocks zone, don't you think?
Yeah, it's levels. It's absolutely levels.
Also, there was one part of that I thought was quite interesting, is that they said don't work on men's emotions by bringing up tears or whatever. I just generally find, maybe I'm the only one, you tell me if this is true, I'm getting a little bored with watching people manipulate each other emotionally, whether it's, Piers Morgan trying to get his guests to fight, whether it's influencers trying to get you to sympathize with them because they can't get their Coachella ticket. Just stop manipulating people. Nobody needs to get involved in your desperate attempt to have attention or money or love, or just behave yourself. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a fair ask.
Okay, you think it's fair. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. No,
all
I
right,
agree with you.
Bring up the last one. Is this the last one? Let's go.
I think there's like two more, but it gets funny here.
Don't be familiar with the head waiter talking about the fun that you had with someone else another time. Men deserve and desire your emotional attention. That's very 1930s though. I don't know that people still flirt with the main waiter, the head waiter. Have you seen that happen? Have you ever seen a guy like being completely ignored by his girlfriend and she's flirting with someone else while they're at dinner together?
I'm sure it happens. The moral of the story is don't be a floozy.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Don't talk about clothes or try to describe your new gown to a man. Yeah. I don't know how long it's going to take.
That's changed so much because women love talking about that. Like that's now a major thing. But back in those days, you could only buy 3 different gowns anyway, so there wasn't much to talk about.
Correct, and you had them for life. I mean, like you used that gown basically every Friday.
I mean, check out that top picture there. It's like she didn't have sheen. That was the general store's top drawer.
No. And there was no "get ready with me," which nobody needs to see.
It's the same video with everyone.
It's the same. "Get ready with me" that's the epitome of like just meaningless, vacuous shit. The only people who could possibly enjoy that stuff are people who are trying to take the piss out of the person who's getting ready with me. No one else cares.
It's funny parody content, but if someone had to do a "Get Ready With Me" 1938, it would be so funny.
Oh yeah. It's funny also that we're still talking about this stuff, but a lot of girls know this already. It can never be said enough. Girls don't dress up for men; they actually dress up for other girls. A guy will not remember what
himself.
A guy won't even remember what color you had on last weekend. He won't. I can't recall what I wore yesterday, let alone what someone else wore. It's bizarre. I mean, maybe this is the perfect time to bring on Mash because he knows all about that influencer world, and maybe he can tell us if he's going to take us down a journey of "Get Ready With Me." Hello, Mashiane.
Hi, Gareth. How are you doing?
Jesus, you're looking so thin, man. You're looking buff. You look like clavicular. You're the black clavicular. That's what
he is. He's been looksmaxxing. He's been pounding his jaw all morning.
Look at you.
With a hammer. I've been pounding it all morning long.
No, seriously, this is getting and listen, you keep getting into shit with the fat people. You got to stop now. They're starting to hate you.
Gareth, they're not feeling me at all at the moment. I mean, as of late, I think I've mentioned to you before that I basically have no friends anymore. They've all pretty much cut me off because they were like, we've had enough. All you do is criticize what we eat, what we do. We have Coke. You're like, we have Coke Zero. It's. They've been so tired of me, including my own family. Everybody's tired. So
okay, Mash. Mash, I'll always be your friend.
I appreciate that, Ben.
And I'll never be fat either.
But
So, I mean, it's too good.
I appreciate that even more because it's been absolutely ridiculous. So on the fat side of things, I mean, a lot has been happening. I'm not too clued up when it comes to the get ready with me's all that much. I've been completely in my little echo bubble of fat acceptance. I've been trying to combat this demonic gluttony that people are partaking in, and it's taking up all of my time. So one thing that happened quite recently, actually, is it's called FatCon. I don't know if you guys have heard of FatCon before.
What is that?
Have you guys heard of it? So
no.
FatCon is actually a FatCon is actually a fat person conference. It's quite popular in the States. It happens in Philly. It happens around, I think, November time of the year. And it is extremely popular. All the fatties gather around. They gather around. They wobble around, and they come together, and they just come to celebrate their fatness. So on FatCon's website, you guys are gonna laugh at this. So on their website, FatCon is described as a 3-day conference for fat joy. I don't even know what that is, but apparently that is a thing.
Look at that. It's actually, imagine carrying that around. I mean, I just, this is almost like drawing attention to the worst aspect of you. Take the thing you're most embarrassed about and you try to present it as something that you're proud of. We know they're not. We know that these are the fat people who remain in America are the ones who couldn't afford a Zempic, because everybody who was fat and was on that train, FatCon must have had low numbers this year, because a lot of the people who would have gone are now probably on Ozempic.
That's the thing. The numbers must have been low, but they are still, and this is my issue. This is the whole reason why I've started my own YouTube platform, and I've just been mad as of late, is because there's so many tools out there. These people have the Ozempics, they have everything. They have Mounjaro, they have Really Slim, there's Duromine, there's oral, oral appetite suppressants that one can take as well. They're not GLP-1s, they're appetite suppressants. There's so many options, and they've gotten so affordable. Yet there are still people in the world who are choosing to remain this way, who are choosing they're choosing this demonically gluttonous lifestyle. And I'm here on the internet to just combat that. If it means everybody's going to turn against me, then let that be. But I am building my own audience who are into this. So at least that's happening.
Well, I've got an idea, Mash. Do you want to do a collab video? I'm going to send you a script. It'll be a lot more interesting if you do it with me. It's about what we're meant to look like. It's not about an emotional or personal thing. It's just stop fucking around. We're meant to look like this because it's better. I've obviously got a much better argument, but the crux of the matter is this. And it basically
can I ask you both? Oh, for God's sake, you sound like one of those people on a Piers Morgan show. Let me finish.
I'm halfway through a sentence, and then I'm halfway through a sentence with your guest, and now you want to talk.
I thought you were pitching a business idea. All right, so what I wanted to ask is that both of you seem to have, there's an angle here, and you know, we make fun of this looksmaxxing thing, right? But it's got some value because it seems to be taking off. I mean, I heard people who wouldn't have known what clavicular was a month ago on major media outlets talking about him. It's a thing. Do you think it's going to be a thing in this country? And you two might be the ones who started up here.
I want to quickly jump in on that. Yeah, Gareth, look, it's another trend. Hey, we spoke about it. Everything starts with some good ideas. I think looksmaxxing, I went hard in that this week. Hey? I actually watched those videos for the first time. And all right, there's a lot of good intention in there. It's just that it becomes narcissistic and people kind of miss the point. But everyone should looksmax because everyone should be better. This is the video that I want to make with Mash. Is that looksmaxers are taking it a little bit left of center. They're getting it a bit wrong. And those folks look like dipshits. But the whole thing is that we should lookmax in our own way. It's just that now that it's called looksmaxxing, it's like the influencer term. Now it's basically now it's a poo. Now being want to touch it. Yeah. But the sentiment should be there. We should all work on these things because life gets better. It gets better. It's just, that's how it is.
100%. I personally feel like if I started a looksmaxxing movement, it'll definitely catch on. There's no ways it wouldn't. Because I've learned that people, you can make people interested in whatever you're interested in. Literally anything, any old shit, you can literally get the country interested in it. I mean, the whole country was using hydrogen peroxide on their faces at some point. So
yes, because of you. You started that shit.
Exactly. So anything I decide that I want people to be interested in this, if I just decide it, I can make it happen. I literally can. So with the looksmaxxing thing, I believe looksmaxxing is a good thing. I believe everybody, it is good to take care of your physical appearance, and I believe it's good to optimize your physical appearance. Get yourself looking like the best version of yourself as you can possibly be, because it does open doors for you. I can actually attest to that. Looking better does open doors for you. It opened so many doors for me. Cool. I got signed to my modeling agency. I started doing all kinds of campaigns that I've never been exposed to in the past. Even on I mean, it even improved my confidence on camera. In fact, as of late, I actually got laser hair removal on my face. Where? I don't know if anybody even noticed. On my forehead. On my forehead. So I used to have.
I see a very.
My hairline used to be like this.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Look, you are looksmaxxing. This is what's happening. Okay. So let's just get into where it goes too far here, and this is where I really need you guys to help me figure it out, because I don't know the answer. Hermine says, Clavicular is such a pathetic creature. I wish I didn't know about him. Yes, he's pretty, but my God, what a woman. Let's just leave alone the fact that, some people subjectively are beautiful. It's very hard to judge who's good looking and who isn't. Someone will say that person A is beautiful because to them they're beautiful. There is a lot of subjectivity in beauty. But obviously, for women, I've always thought, this is my very limited range of like ideal qualities. It's like good skin, good clean hair. Somebody in the comments, I think it was Congo Chris, said clean nails, smell nice. They must have, basically symmetry is what attracts most of us, because it indicates that you got good genes, and the thing that motivates you to be attracted to someone is that you want to produce children with them. So the better their genes, and we have various ways of ascertaining someone's genetic quality, one of those is beauty. So it makes perfect sense that this goes the way of nature. I think where you've got to worry, there's nothing wrong with cosmetically. Women have been doing this for years. Men are maybe starting to wake up to it. It's become more important to men in the 20th and 21st centuries. Where does it go too far? Like what behavior, what sort of stuff do you guys look at as going beyond the pale? This is like stupid now.
A hammer to the face. What Clavicular is doing, hammers to the face, banging your head against things to change your bone structure. That's BS. That doesn't work. And that's where I think it's gone too far. Apart from that surgery, but let's start off with the basic things that everybody has access to. A hammer. Stupid people, give them a hammer. We're all in trouble. So we have to cut off that first.
So, Gareth, I think it goes too far when it becomes competitive and it becomes about status. So all these things about getting better, looking better, feeling better, being more confident, there is less chance you're going to throw rubbish out of your car. Again, we've got to go back to your original story of the show, because this is how the show works. Everything has fundamental stories, right? That person has very low self-esteem. They're very insecure. They take everything very personally. They're very reactive when someone talks to them like you did. If that guy looks Max, okay, let's just use this phrase. If that guy went to the gym and he worked on himself, he wouldn't throw shit out of his car because he would have too much pride. And the pride starts with you. If you haven't got pride with yourself, like I look at a lot of chubby guys, a lot of the time they have beards. Not because beards look good, it's because they're fucking lazy, okay? And they often go hand in hand. Chubby oaks always have beards, so often. And it just comes back to this thing like live in a clean apartment, have a clean car, go clean your car. And all that kind of stuff should be one thing. When you start hammering your jaw and start going online and like mocking people and all that kind of stuff, that just shows you're insecure and you're using aesthetics as now a hammer, for a better use of a word, because now you want to go like, I'm better than you. That's when the shit gets wrong, when it becomes competitive.
Yeah. And to add to what Ben just said as well. I just remembered something. So physical attributes, what actually attracts people to a person, those are actually good health markers. So everything that attracts people to a person physically, those are signs that a person is actually healthy, healthy enough to reproduce. So all those aspects, I mean, the fact that health plays a role as well, it just shows us how hand in hand being healthy and looking good, they just go together. And if you go to the mall or you go to the shopping center right now, you'll realize that majority of people are literally what's in their trolleys. People look like what's in their trolleys. Yeah, you see the cake is. I know what you look like before I even see you. Sometimes someone, you know when someone leaves the trolley in like the aisle and they like go in the aisle to get something else, and I see the trolley, I'm like fat. And then they show up, I'm like, told y'all they fat.
All right, so listen, I want to before we wrap up this hour, I just want to bring a story that I missed out on telling you 2 weeks ago when Artemis 2 came back to Earth. You know that the astronauts who went up and traveled around the moon, and they're busy planning the next Artemis, which will hopefully get us onto the moon, and then they want to build a base there. But it's all about human advancement and thinking more than just of what we have here on Earth and our stupid, petty day-to-day issues. There was a lovely story. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the one astronaut, while they were going around the dark side of the moon, named a crater after his wife who had died of cancer. Yeah, you heard the story, right? Most beautiful story. So he named the crater on the moon after a wife that had died of cancer about a year ago and dedicated it to her and the kids they have together. And I thought, wow. I mean, first of all, that has to win romantic gesture of the century so far. Who knows? People might name whole planets after their wives or girlfriends going forward. But I just thought that's pretty damn cool. You think about how these guys they're forging the next era of human interplanetary existence. In some small way, this is going to contribute to that. That's what we hope. And yet, it's the human story. It's that love. It's that romance. I just thought, you go, guy. What a fantastic story. Do you like that?
Oh, what a beautiful story. I absolutely love that. I think his wife's name was it Carol or something? Caroline. Carol. Something along those lines. Yeah. And he named that crate. That is beautiful. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we as humanity should be really pushing behind. Not this, because Gareth, I hate to even go down this route when it comes to the Artemis mission. But the flat earthers, it's like they all just woke up from a hole, and they've all just been trying to disprove this mission, saying that this mission was all green screen. They're saying that the rocket was launched into space, then it came back down and there was nobody in it. They're all just saying it's all CGI. And it's when you hear people like that that you realize that there are really stupid people in the world, and there are people who really try to dismiss the accomplishments of humans. They'd rather say that it's like the people who look at pyramids and say aliens built those. It's like, can you for once just give credit to humans? Can you for once give credit to the people who are actually putting in the work? It just
I'm afraid we're not going to be able to do anything about stupid, but I do see Hermine in the comments here says, my husband named an insect after me. He's an entomologist. That's peak romance. I love that you love that he did that, Hermine, because a lot of, if you said to a girl, if you were an entomologist and you said to a girl on your second or third date, I collect and study insects, and I've spent my life, I've devoted my life to this. First of all, most girls would go, that sounds like a horrible job, which it isn't. It's fascinating. But I don't know that a lot of girls would be charmed to have an insect named after them. I love that you do. I think it's amazing. It's clear. It's clear you and your husband. Well, yeah. It's a blood-sucking
if it's like a
tick.
beautiful butterfly or something, like what if it's like some blood-sucking tick or some dung beetle?
All right, Ben, what are you doing this
like
weekend?
A beautiful butterfly.
Gareth, I'm about to go to a different gym with our mutual friend Greg. I'm going to Gold's in Santon. I've managed 2 weeks in a row. I've managed 2 weeks in a row of gym. I feel so much better.
Good.
Tomorrow, big day out at Hearties, Gareth. Hope the weather
what's happening there?
plays ball. I'm going on a date.
Nice.
Very excited about this.
Oh,
And then Sunday, I'm
ooh.
making the second part of a new driver video. I mean, I've got a weekend here. I've got such a weekend. I'm very excited about this. Life's really good right now. I got to be honest with you.
Is there anything we're missing in the world of sport this weekend?
Well, it's a tough subject for me right now because with 6 games left, Man City has now done what Man City does. They've got to the top of the league. They're level on points with Arsenal, but they're better on goal difference. And now the destiny is in their hands if they keep winning. Look, Arsenal are doing Arsenal things here, and it's a steady drip of progress. Arsenal has a slightly easier run-in fixture-wise than Man City does, but momentum is a huge thing. I mean, I made this video almost 2 weeks ago where I said, like, unfortunately, I just think they've done it again. They've gone into their shell. They're not playing with a lot of purpose. To their credit, they actually play pretty well against Man City, but they're just not good enough here. And it does suck. It sucks a lot. And what also sucks, and I'm going to make a video about this because the insights have been great. I've become a football fan in the last 2 years. And the things that I've learned as a rugby fan, becoming a football fan, fascinating. It is so funny. And a lot of football fans, I forget how petty they are. How absolutely petty they are. And what I will tell you, if you take the time out of your day to go into my DMs and try hurt me with Arsenal or bottlers or some shit, just know I don't care. Because so many of your jokes are so shit and they're so unimaginative. Gord Laws, actually. Well, before I go, I've got to share this with you. Gord Laws. We all know and love Gord Laws, right? I maybe should have screenshotted this.
Yeah.
So Gord's a Man United fan, right?
Right.
So he sends me this thing basically of just like Arsenal days on top of the Premier League, 539. 0 titles, Man City 453 days, 4 titles. To which I said, thanks, Gord. Literally had no idea that Arsenal appeared to have a tendency of topping the league, but not actually winning the trophy. And he's like, oh, you got to get the stick. So I said to him, look, Gord, your stick is so lame that it didn't hurt me. So therefore, what is the point of sending it? And I called him Gordon and I spelt it wrong. And he's like, well, yeah, you're right. You hurt me by spelling my name right. But spelling my name wrong. And I said, that's the point, Gord. I've now hurt you, therefore I win. If you want to take me on, hurt me. Say something really shit about Arsenal that really gets me somewhere other than, oh, they just bottled it again. Guys, I don't care. I feel like a buffalo. I feel like a buffalo hide for sport. It's so hard to come at me. And if you want to waste the time, I mean, come on. Sending me a meme that someone else has sent 3,000 times that wasn't that funny. I tell you what is funny.
You on?
I did find this funny, is that Arsenal sells bottled water outside of the stadium, right? So there's a bottle of water with an Arsenal logo on. Sales are through the roof because everybody wants to have the bottle and go, Arsenal bottled it, because it's literally a product. That's hilarious. Come at me with that. Don't come at me with this like stupid stats that I'm fucking very aware of.
I would like to encourage anyone who wants to keep abusing Ben in his DMs, go ahead. That's James putting up Manchester City. James?
See, again, not funny, James. It's just like it's so lame.
And James, just by the way, I mean, aren't you a Liverpool supporter? It seems kind of pathetic that you're suddenly a Man City fan because you just hate Arsenal so much. This is just
Exactly. Sit this one out, big guy. You're not in the game. You're not even in it. Okay, fuck off. You're not even in it. And like James keeps going, oh, I told you this, I told you so. It's like your team, James, and I refer to it what a disappointing sludge of urinal mess is so disappointing this year. Oh, but you know we've won titles. Fuck off, living the past.
Carl De Santos.
This is what my DMs are.
Yeah, Carl De Santos says it's quite a diatribe for someone who isn't hurt, Ben.
Yeah. Come at me, Carl. I'll take you all day.
All right, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Gold's Gym and your driver video, and we'll chat to you next week, Ben. I know we won't because we don't have a show next Friday, but I'll talk to you anyway. Have a good weekend.
Of course, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Try harder. Ciao.
Cheers, Ben.
Cool. Mash, what are you doing for the long weekend?
Gareth, just YouTube. There's nothing else in my life. My life has just been doing videos And that's about it. That's really about it. I mean,
But
I've become kind of boring to everyone but my audience.
well, listen, I mean, I get it. It's part of your job. It's part of your work now. But
Yeah.
if you don't have a life, this is something I had to get used to when I was doing 5 shows a week for 3 hours a day. It's like eventually that becomes your life and you don't have things to talk about because you're not doing exciting stuff. You got to watch out for that. It's something that happens to people.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. No, that's something I'm definitely watching out for. But I am trying to just grind it out for 1 year. At least give it 1 year and really give it my all. And then next year is when I'm going to just relax a little bit because I've never done this before. I've never just been on YouTube. I've never just talked alone for over an hour before in front of a camera. So
Did you just stream? Did you just stream and then you take comments live and that kind of thing? Or is it prepared and edited and recorded?
Oh, it is prepared. So I do a bit of research.
Yeah.
So most of my content is what I eat in a day reaction. So I react to what the fat
Right.
people are eating. And what I do first is I do some research. So every single episode has a bit of a storyline. So for example, an episode I dropped yesterday, there's this lady that I found on TikTok. Her name is Diamond Dominique. And Diamond is a what I eat in a day influencer. She has over 200,000 followers on TikTok, and she's extremely popular for that. So
Yeah.
she recently went on GLP-1. She went on semaglutide, and she's been on it for like the past 6 months or so. But she has been losing weight very slowly, and she's been eating takeouts on her TikTok every single day, doing her little mukbangs on TikTok live every single day, despite being on this GLP-1. So of course, her audience gets upset. They're like, okay, girl, what's going on? What's your issue?
Yeah.
Like, you're losing weight, but you're contradicting what you're saying and what you're
Mhm.
doing with some of your behavior on live. So I just react to that. I react to what her audience is saying, how people are feeling about her. And I just give the people like one little package, one hour long package where they get to see this girl's entire story up until now. And that's basically what I do. I just research
that's great.
person and
Listen,
I just
there-
give the info.
People find this stuff fascinating. I do want to quickly answer Bitcoin But's question. He's asking who's the guest today. We're actually going to speak to the former mayor of Tshwane, and he's running again in the municipal and local elections at the end of this year. We've all heard about Helen Ziller. We've seen all her videos. But this he's been on the show before. There's a guy called Cilliers Brink. And there are a couple of things I want to talk to him about. Obviously, I had the election of the new DA leader, and there's plenty of stuff around that we need to discuss. But while we're talking about politicians and politics, I don't know if you guys heard the story, and I didn't really think it was that important to talk about it at the time, but it seems it's becoming much more important. So did you see the story about how Anele's husband is involved in some PPE fraud and that he was being paid by the government, and that this is probably a big part of, there he is, this is probably a big part of why, Anele, when she does get political, is quite pro-ANC. It was a story worth mentioning. I have no axe to grind, as you know, with Anele. I think she's great. I think it's very unfair that this has any impact on her necessarily, because she's not somebody who is involved, as far as we know. I mean, anybody could be, but I don't think she's involved in tender fraud or PPE scams or any of that stuff. But this is her husband, and it does make you think, well,
oh my gosh.
when she's very pro-ANC, and they're famously, since we were talking about Helen just a second ago, there was an interview between Helen and Anele, where Anele became
Yes.
quite hostile to Helen, and Helen kind of slapped back, and it went all over the internet. It was a big viral clip for a couple of weeks. Maybe this is part of the reason. I mean, it's hard to be objective about the government when your husband his primary income is from the government, right?
It's from yeah, absolutely. What?
Yeah.
It's such a tough one. Hey, when it comes to being a public figure and all that kind of stuff, I feel like a part of me is also like, Anele should have known better, altogether.
Maybe she didn't.
But at the same
I mean,
time,
some people don't discuss
when you're
these
in
things.
something.
You get married to somebody, and like he does a whole bunch of, let's say he sells equipment or whatever, and one of his clients is government. He's not going to necessarily think it's worth bringing every detail of that back home. I don't know. I'm giving the most charitable explanation I can, but I see that Bitcoin Bot said Anele made her ex profile private. I didn't know that she'd done that. Wow. Okay.
Yo, it's absolutely ridiculous what's happening. I mean, I'm trying to also get updated on it. I'm on the Citizen, and I see it just says here legal action is looming despite acknowledging the legal process. Mgodwa, that's his name, Mgodwa, indicated that he does not agree with the outcome of the tribunal. He confirms plan to challenge the decision through either a review or an appeal in the High Court. What on earth? Well, so he's straight up fighting this at the moment.
Sure, but he's not denying that he's doing business with government. And if that's even half of his income, and we know that government's the biggest participant in the South African economy, let's say it's even a tenth of his income. If there's any fraud or corruption, and we know how many people, remember there were those 2 people who were in the president's office who were involved in PPE fraud during COVID. 2 people in the president's office. One of them was one of his secretaries, and then it was her husband. And these guys, again, apart from the fact that we need to learn some civil responsibility in this country, we also just need to send people to jail. That's really all there is to it.
Let's send them to jail.
Look at these guys who are appearing before the Madlanga Commission. And again, I don't know about you, Mash. I haven't watched. Some people are watching every day at the Madlanga Commission. Like it's fascinating, and I'm sure there are testimonies and stories coming out of it that would blow our minds. I don't have the time or the inclination to watch all of it. I'm not that interested. I don't know about you. Yeah, okay. Well, but the reality is we've got all these people who are clearly, they're so bad, they're so evil and bad at what they're doing. It's so amateurish that they're basically incriminating themselves. So why don't we just send them to jail? Why aren't they just being put in straight after the commission ends? They should just pick them up in a van and take them straight to prison. Don't you think?
We need to start making more examples of people in this country. It can't just be Julius Malema. We really need to start making more examples of people. It's long overdue, really. So we need to start just throwing them in prison.
The Julius thing is also still, we're waiting now. Apparently he's appealed this, which we knew he was going to do. So it goes to a higher court. But I mean, he's looking at a minimum of 5 years. What do you think that'll do to his supporters? You think it'll increase their support or decrease?
Apparently, they were protesting in Joburg CBD the day when it wasn't a sentencing. It was just what's it called again?
I think it was the sentencing because it
was the sentencing.
They'd already convicted him. He's been found guilty. That's not a question. It's a sentence.
His supporters are all in the streets protesting, throwing trash, apparently in Joburg CBD. I didn't see any of it. I didn't witness any of it.
This is the first I've heard of it.
Noise.
No.
But yeah, it was apparently a thing happening on Twitter. Then again, it might have been old videos because these people do have a habit of using old videos to clickbait people into thinking certain things.
Definitely.
But but overall, I mean, it's much deserved, and we just need to be making more examples of people. People need to be at least threatened with prison. That prison time needs to be the first option. It shouldn't be like, oh, you might go to prison. It should be, you're definitely going to prison. The question is just how long.
Okay, I do want to bring on Tlotliso, who's one of our listeners and viewers. He is, I don't think I've ever seen you in the comments section, though, Tlotliso. He is going to join us now. We're doing this thing, Mash, where we let the people who want to join the conversation in person come onto the show. And it's almost like phone calls when we used to do that on the show. So I do want to get to him because he's been holding on for a while. He's from Vicksburg, which is in the Free State.
Oh, wow.
And he's an architectural draftsperson, a married father of 4, and someone who's curious about the world. If you wanted to give a good biography, that's pretty much the best one I've heard in a long time. But Liso, how's it?
Hi, how's it?
Hey.
Hey.
What's happening? We're all good, man.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? What's happening in Vicksburg? Is there anything going on there?
No, not really. It's a small town. I mean, I love it here. It's a small town. It's it's just a regular Free State small town. I mean, you were in Clarence not too long ago.
I was. I got to tell you, man, that is one of the most beautiful parts of the country that I didn't even know existed. I mean, people had talked to me about Clarence, and you've got those amazing mountains there, and people had said to me, you've got to go and visit that part of the country. And I kind of thought, yeah, Free State is Free State, because I've seen a lot of the Free State and it's mostly boring. But that place, that part of the country that you're in, Vicksburg, Clarence, it's magnificent. If I'd known about it earlier, I would have been going there
really
every year.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, in wintertime, when it snows in the Lesotho Mountains, all I have to do is just stand outside and I can just see that beautiful scenery. It's just amazing.
All right, so you want to talk about something today, which Mash has already brought this up, but I don't think he's stolen your thunder, because you're pissed off about people who do not take any of these human achievements, like going past the moon at the furthest distance humans have ever been from Earth. You think it's outrageous that people think the moon landings are fake, that they think this thing is fake, that they can't just do what Mash was saying earlier, is give credit to humanity when humanity achieves something spectacular, right?
Yes, it's so annoying, it's like nobody puts any thought into these arguments that they put on why it's impossible. I find it just so ridiculous. It annoys me. From all the podcasts I listen to, there's always some guy they just say, no, it's fake because of why didn't they do it if they did it in the 60s, why didn't they carry on doing it? Just really lame excuses. Lame excuses.
I also find it bizarre that these same people, you can argue with them, you can show them facts, you can prove to them, well, this is a satellite photo that shows that the Earth is round, it's not flat. These are the reasons that the moon landing, and by the way, there wasn't just one moon landing, there were about 8 that were done, and they all brought back rocks. There, you could still see the flag, for God's sake, that was planted on the moon. How else did that get there? And yet these people, they start believing everything is a conspiracy, right?
Yes. And I don't even want to go as far as the evidence of people going to the moon. My main thing is that just the equipment that you need to get to the moon. You look at your cell phone, you look at cars. It takes about a year for them to test your cell phone before it goes to market. It takes about 2-3 years to test cars to go on the market. So people think that something as 50-story rockets, it's just something that you just you dust it off, and then you can just in the 60s to go now. People forget that there's teams, thousands and thousands building these rockets, having to know how to operate while the rockets are up. Because this is not the first flight. They had another flight, an unmanned flight not too long ago, which is basically, it's training. It's training everybody involved to understand what needs to go down when humans are actually in there. Because it's not like just a car. If you crash a car, the likely chances of you surviving are a lot. In space, everybody on the ship is dead, and I just it just annoys me. It annoys me.
What do you do for a living? Are you in the sciences? Because you sound very informed about this stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm an architectural draftsperson, so I do most of the houses, the shops and buildings around.
But I'm talking about hobbies as well, because you sound like somebody
hobbies
reads quite a lot about this.
Yeah, no, hobbies, definitely. I've always been, like I said earlier, I'm curious about the world. So I'm on YouTube, I'm watching how stuff is made. I don't know if you remember when DSTV used to be important, there used to be that Discovery Channel where they used to show the show of how they make stuff. As a kid, that was definitely one of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah. I always used to, whenever I go to visit my folks. Oh, hello? You hear me now? No? Oh, shit. James, take Dudley's off and just see if you can get him back on. Don't know what's going on there. Mash, are you still there? Have we lost Mash as well? I can see judgment in Mash's eyes for this guest, says Carl. It's often people who can't accept that the simplest explanation is the truth. Well, that's called Occam's razor. Usually, if you have 7 different possibilities and they become increasingly more complicated, and the chances of them being true are in accordance with that diminished every time you go back to the most obvious one. You go back to the most simple explanation. Occam's razor. Okay, now I can hear myself and I can hear Tlotliso. All right, so let's try that again. Hello? You hear us? No, there's Mash, there's Tlotliso. I don't know what happened. We all dropped off
at
the same time. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Tlotliso. You were busy telling me about those shows where they make stuff.
Hello?
Okay, bad connection. Mash, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So listen, there was something else that you wanted to talk about this morning, and I do want to give you a little bit of a gap because we brought you on quite late. We've got the interview with Cilliers Brink coming up a little later on, just to let people know. So that'll be probably from about past. And by the way, if you want to do what Tlotliso has just done and you want to send us a clip, you want to be on the show live, this is obviously not recorded, and you have something that you want to talk about, whatever it is, even if it's just to tell us about you. Last week we had Bitcoin Butt on, who was making bread while he was talking to us. It was awesome to see him doing this stuff. Early morning, baking the bread. All I wanted to do was like grab a loaf of that. I know you'll judge me, Mash, but there's nothing more awesome than crispy, fresh baked bread. The best. Yes, that's nice.
Yeah,
all right, waiting for our superhero upcoming mayor to take a spot at 7:30 with you, Gareth, says Shirley. Treat him well. He's a super asset to us in Pretoria. Well, I will admit, without fear of contradiction, because it's the truth, that because he may be mayor of the city I live in, of course I wanted to talk to him. And he's been mayor before, so he could tell us what's been going on since he isn't mayor at the moment. And we'll find out what the plans are ahead of these elections. I don't love talking to politicians, but there's some politicians who you can tell are better at telling you what's actually happening than others, and he's one of them. So I'm pleased he'll be joining us. So, all right, Mash, here's something that I wanted to ask you about, because this is a story that's going on now. Zebra striping is a growing drinking trend where people alternately drink alcoholic drinks with water to stay hydrated, slow alcohol intake, and reduce hangover symptoms. While it won't completely prevent a hangover, experts say it can lessen its severity, help pace the drinking, and help improve the taste experience by resetting the palate, making it a simple, more balanced approach to nights out. I'm tired of people labeling stuff we've been doing anyway. What was that ad from Vodacom? We've been having it. I've been having it for years. This is how I drink. I drink shots of tequila, and in between I'll drink water or a soft drink of some kind. That's what I've always done. How can they now come up with this like it's a new discovery? This is not Artemis 2, guys. Zebra striping. What do you make of this?
Zebra striping is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
What a weird. Everything needs a name. Taking care of yourself is looksmaxxing. Having water while drinking is zebra striping. Everything has a name now. Can't we just do things and call them what they are? It's just drinking water between drinks. It's staying hydrated. Just call it hydration maxing at the most. But we just want to come up with terms for everything, every single thing. It's just ridiculous, man. Ever since I stopped drinking, though, I can also attest to the fact that, number one, life has been better, and number two, I've been feeling so much better, Gareth. I've been feeling so amazing since stopping drinking. And the sad part is people still treat you like a freak.
I want to give you some shit quickly, because if I don't, then the audience will. So you said you're doing nothing but YouTube over the weekend and that all your friends are angry with you. I'm afraid there's a cost to everything, right? So you're looking fantastic, and God bless you for the changes you've put yourself through. And it hasn't been easy. But
Yeah.
you're very proud of this, and you should be. And I think it's a tremendous lesson to all of us. At the same time, there are some fat people who are going to be spending time with their friends this weekend and getting drunk, and you won't be one of them, Mash.
I won't be one of them. I won't
So
be one of
everything
them.
has
I
a
won't be
cost.
inflamed.
Yeah.
Everything does have a cost. So the cost for me is just being alone, unfortunately, and also having my family kind of hate me. I was home not so long ago, and first of all, I put my family on Coke Zero, so they started drinking Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, all those zero sugar drinks, buying 2 liters of those because I got them onto those. And
Yeah.
what I would do is I'd buy them in bulk, and they'll start drinking them, obviously, and they'll get used to them. Well, they were like, okay, you've converted us. You've converted us.
Yeah.
We are now converted. You're preaching to the choir now. This was the last time I was at home in around January. And then when I went home again a few weeks ago, they were back to the sugar drinks, the full sugar
dude.
drinks. They were back to their usual ways. And I asked my mom, and she's like, oh, I didn't realize these are full sugar drinks. I didn't even realize. And my little brother comes around and he's like, no, mom, you're lying. You said you don't like the drinks that Mesh said you must buy. You said you don't like them. So
how's your brother
So it's
doing? Have you
been-
managed to turn him into an influencer yet?
no, I have not, unfortunately. The unfortunate part is, as much as I'm trying to include him in my videos and get him, busy and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
he just wants money from my videos. And unfortunately, Facebook doesn't pay what it used to pay, Gareth. Facebook's payments have literally dropped so much. I went from making like 2,000 Rand per million views. I'm now making $12. $12, Gareth.
Yeah.
So
That's
the price has
horrific.
dropped. I don't know what's causing this. It's absolutely terrifying and horrific to me. But yeah, so my little brother still wants a piece of the pie, but there's no pie. There's no pie to give him. So
Yeah,
at this point, I'm just trying to.
it's back to what I was saying about how everybody just wants free stuff. They want your money. They want a free ride. They want tickets to Coachella. They want a Zempic. They want a looksmaxxing. People just want free stuff.
Nobody wants to put in the work anymore. Everybody wants shortcuts and wants everything for free, which is fine, which is completely fine. But then don't get mad at the world for not giving you what you haven't worked for. That's my thing. It's like the fat
Tracy
acceptance
says,
people.
Tracy says, people who went to that FatCon conference, can we call them Carb Maxes? Yeah, that's a good name for it.
Yes. I actually have a video that I've sent to producer James of this FatCon. It's a short little 1-minute video showcasing exactly what happened there.
Okay, let's have a look, because I didn't even know this existed. I am fascinated. Let's go, James. Let's see.
I went to a fat person conference. It was crazy. Let's check it out. We are at Philly FatCon. What is Philly FatCon, you ask?
Philly FatCon is really the first convention of its kind, made by plus-size fat people for fat people. Here, you're in a space where you can build community with other people who understand your lived experience, who want to meet you, commune with you, and get a chance to know you, build community.
No surprise, it's mostly women here. I'd say for every 15th woman, it's one guy. What made you want to come to Philly FatCon 2025?
I think just being in a creative space with like people who can celebrate our bodies.
What made you come to Philly FatCon 2025?
As a fat activist, I want community, and this is the place to be for community.
What's a fat activist?
Someone who wants people to understand kind of the impacts of weight stigma and just having a larger body and what it means to kind of move around in the world.
When you become a certain size, it definitely becomes a part of your identity. Once you're overweight for a certain amount of time, at a certain amount of size, it really becomes part of just who you are. That's how you see yourself, even if you lose the weight. What made you want to come to Philly FatCon 2025?
I came for the environment, being around like-minded people.
Did you have a good time?
I did, yeah, and I'll be here tomorrow.
Awesome.
What about you?
No, I have to go. It was fun though. Bro, it's so cool that there's a community for people to get together of like-minded individuals, but I don't know if this is where I should be, being completely honest. I don't want to be fat. So should I go to the fat conference where people are talking about loving yourselves for being fat? Should I love myself for where I'm at? You know what I mean? Or should I keep pushing and going harder and not accepting who I am to get to eventually where I want to go? I don't know. If you have any advice, please let me know in the comments.
There we go. Our girlies are living it up at FatCon.
Well, that one woman said, he said to her, "Why are you here at FatCon?" And she's like, "It's for the environment." Like, planet Earth needs your enormous gravity to be present at a FatCon in Philly. I mean, the danger is that you could fall. All these fat people, one place, could fall through the crust and the mantle of the Earth and destabilize the core of the planet. I'm sure that the environment doesn't want that, honey. By the way, Mash, someone asks an excellent question in here. I think it might even be Bitcoin But. He says, "What is the food like at FatCon?" I reckon they must have such nice food there. Can you imagine?
I'm sure. Yeah, I even reacted to it on my channel. And my first question was, why aren't we seeing the food section at this FatCon?
Yeah, that's all I want to
Probably
see.
hogging away, eating up a storm. And
Yeah.
geez, it's just demonic gluttony up in there. How I'd love to see that.
Carl dos Santos says, "I heard that the reason John Steenhuisen left the leadership of the DA is because he's bringing FatCon to South Africa." That would be an interesting pivot for him. All right, let's see. I mean, not a bad idea. Thank you very much. Mash, have an awesome weekend, awesome long weekend, all on your own, but you'll be looking fantastic. So that's more important than having people around. And we'll catch up with you in a couple of days.
All right. Ciao, ciao, Gareth.
Thanks, dude. All right, very good. Okay, so I promised, and we've got him, the former mayor of Pretoria. So far, a tremendous guy. We had him on the show before. Former executive mayor of Tshwane. He's now the DA's caucus leader in Tshwane and was just elected DA federal chairperson, deputy federal chairperson, sorry, and is the party's official mayoral candidate for the 2026 local government elections in Pretoria, which is where I live. So I care about this enormously. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Cilliers Brink. How are you, dude?
How's it, Gareth? Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. And always a good excuse to talk about your and my favorite city. But before we get into any of that, big news was you guys in the DA had your elective conference and you elected a whole lot of people. You see, you're the deputy chairperson, federal chairperson. That's quite an important role, right? The federal council in the DA is actually the most important organ inside the party.
Yeah, it's fairly significant. We had a Congress with more than 2,000 delegates, men and women from across the country who were themselves elected by branches. And so being elected to this position gives me a seat on the federal executive, not just the federal council. And that is the body that will determine the strategy, stamp the policy, and negotiate the coalitions that will probably govern most of South Africa or most of urban South Africa after November.
Well, that's a bold claim, and we'll break down all the things that you've said there, because that's the major metros of South Africa up for grabs, and you guys are very confident in the DA. But let me just ask you about the conference. Who gets to vote? For most of us, we're outside of this very, very complicated political world that you guys inhabit. We know about the elective conferences of the ANC where it becomes factional and everybody gets to vote, and there's often money involved because these things have to be paid for. So how did yours work, and who are the people who voted to put you on that federal council, just so we understand?
So if you join up as a DA member, you get to attend a branch meeting where a branch chairperson and a deputy and a secretary and so forth are elected. And when that branch meets every once in a while, they do elect delegates to the branch, and those delegates get to go to a congress. And it is those folks who then choose our leaders. So it's not just councillors or elected politicians. In fact, most people who go to these federal and provincial congresses aren't people who make their living off of politics. They're volunteers. They might be doing something else in life. And thankfully, we haven't been corrupted by this thing of buying delegates. It's also been incredibly difficult to verify how each delegate voted, because we have got an electronic voting system that is completely, you can't identify who anyone voted for. And the processes are so strict and well governed that there isn't really any room for intimidation. So the folks at Gallagher Estates who put everything together, they say to us, you guys are so fundamentally different from how the ANC does these things. There's no trash. You don't break the toilets. No police on hand to do riot control. So as long as we've got an ordered, organized environment, a party of rules, we can pull these things off. And it's incredibly important for a party to do it. Because if you can't even run your own household, how are you going to run a government?
No, you're right. I just think that you've probably cost Gallagher Estate the future ANC business they were hoping for. But there we go. So, all right. So yeah, you became mayor at 35. I think you were the youngest mayor we've had in Tshwane ever before. It was quite a big deal. Of course, you had a certain number of years to try and get things right. You can't do everything all at once. I saw a clip of Javier Milei in Argentina explaining to people, you can't fix all of the deep rot that sets in any country or city in just one term. You need to actually have a succession plan. And now you're running again. What is the state of Pretoria since you left as mayor? And what it's like right now and what you want to do going forward. This is most important for people who live in this city, but it's the capital. It's the capital of our country. This is where foreign dignitaries come to visit the president. This is where most of our embassies are. This is where the union buildings themselves are. The executive runs from Pretoria. A lot of the government departments are based in Pretoria. We have military bases around here. It's an important city.
Yeah. So if you want to see if a city is well governed, you have to see what it spends its money on. And if a city spends a significant portion of the money that it collects from people in property taxes and tariffs for water, electricity, and waste collection on building infrastructure, and they get value for that infrastructure spend, you know that things are going to improve. That's the big difference between Cape Town and South Africa's other metros. They don't spend the lion's share of their money in salaries, contracted services, things that burn and churn. They build stuff with money. And that's why Cape Town's capital budget, due to good financial management over many years, is 13 billion instead of Tshwane's 2 billion. They build stuff. And since the ANC-led coalition took over, it's been almost 2 years now, we've seen a number of trends that spending on infrastructure has collapsed. Water tankers, for example, you get water tankers if you don't have water in your taps. If you can't give people water in their taps, you bring in tankers as an emergency measure. In the last year that we were in office, we spent 140 million rand on water tankers, which is significant. Most of that was spent in Hammanskraal, obviously due to the water contamination there. But in the year that the ANC coalition took over, it shot up to 777 million, like a bonanza, like a jackpot for water tanker operators. And if you had spent even half of that money on fixing pipes, on replacing valves, on pressure management systems, the water losses in the city wouldn't also have shot up from 32% to 40%. So in other words, every 100 liters of water that Tshwane procures from Rand Water and Magali's Water, 40 liters of that just leaks away. But I think the most telling and the most damning indictment of what has happened in the city since we haven't been in charge, and we weren't perfect by any measure. I mean, we had to manage very chaotic situations. But the most damning indictment comes from the Matlanga Commission. The testimony there of tender rigging, of ANC and EFF politicians telling the CFO of the city who they want to get the security tender, but also reporting by Sunday Times and others. Our deputy mayor here in the Tshwane Metro, Eugene Modise, is a water tanker tenderpreneur. He literally has proprietary interests in a water tanking company doing business with the city. He also has interest in a security company. And those two expenditure items, which is consumption spending, have shot up. So these folks are governing the city on their own, for their own sake, at the public expense. Things have gone backward. But the important point here is that the electorate haven't had a say since 2021. And 2026, this year, probably the first week of November, the residents, the voters of the capital city will have their say. And we think it's an important opportunity to take back our city and to get it working.
Listen, I just cannot believe it. It's amazing to me that you've just explained the water tanker and security. Let's just call them conflicts of interests if we're going to be charitable about this for the deputy mayor. I cannot believe that this kind of thing is allowed to carry on in front of full view of the public, the people who are paying those rates. I know my rates and taxes come in every month and I go, what am I paying for, right? Because apart from rubbish collection, everything else I'm paying separately for anyway. Electricity, water, sewage. I pay for all of that on a different bill. Now it's almost close to 5,000 Rand a month. That is a person's salary. And I'm passing that on to the city of Tshwane every month, and I'm getting zero for it. I don't see an improvement in the city. I don't see anything being cleaned up. I see parks that are a disaster. I see streets that are full of potholes. I see very little, as you put it, infrastructure spending. And now I know at least where it's going. I know it's going to water tanker and security fraud. It's basically being stolen right out of my pocket. And it makes me wonder how many other ratepayers in places like Tshwane, but also all over the rest of the country, are just sick to death of these rent seekers who are ripping us off. So, with my rant out of the way, let me ask you about this. The DA, and we'll get back to Pretoria because there's so much to talk about there. But the DA is, I've said this before on my shows, it's always held to a different standard to the ANC and the EFF and MK, the other big parties. People expect the DA to get 100 out of 100, or else they criticize the 1 or 2% that they don't get right. And they say these guys are cuck at this, and look at Kailicha, look at Hammanskraal, look at Gugulethu, and all of these things. The ANC is much better at something, even though the ANC just unveiled the opening of a tap or a bridge that's one car long, which the president did recently. So I know that that's happening, but I also get really annoyed with the DA, and I see lots of kind of woke American Democrat type stuff going on in the DA. Now, in the conversations you and I have had on the show before, you don't strike me as one of those people who is particularly absorbed in liberal Democrat American talking points, trans bathrooms, green energy, any of that stuff. Am I right about that? Or are you also one of those people who's into that stuff? Because there seem to be a lot of people in the DA who are into that, and it's distracting. It tears them away from what they should be doing.
Well, Gareth, to give you an idea of where I am, Helen Ziller wrote a book called Stay Woke, Go Broke. I think that's what the book was called. And she gave her assessment of things that have gone wrong in the South African political dialogue, but also within the DA. And if I were to give my own assessment of what has happened in the DA in the past 6 years, since she came back as chairperson of the Federal Council, was that we clarified our own view on what it means to believe in liberty and the freedom of the individual. Because that is my interpretation of what liberalism means. American liberalism means something completely different. It means collectivism. It means something more akin to identity politics and socialism. But for us, it is about the freedom and the dignity of the individual. And if you have to deal in government, as we did in Tshwane, with serious things, with bloodthirsty trade unions who want to burn down your city, with corrupt tenderpreneurs who are stealing taxpayers' money, with treacherous coalition partners that are waiting to stab you in the back at any time, when you deal with these real issues and you try and fulfill a developmental role that gives people the freedom and dignity that we believe in, you don't have time for stuff such as gender neutral bathrooms and an obsession over identity issues. I think that we're fairly clear on that. And if you watched our Congress, nobody who got up and spoke about a constitutional amendment said my pronouns are, or whatever the protocols are. So no, I think South Africa is a country with real problems. We've got major developmental issues. We've got crime. We've got corruption, and there simply isn't time for the kind of self-indulgent a type of wokery that we've seen in many other parts. Now, it doesn't mean that we're like hardline right-wing conservatives. Not at all. I mean, we're a party that believes that your lifestyle and what you do at home and who you marry, that is your choice. And for some people, that is abhorrent that we would give that kind of liberty to the individual. But that is our worldview. And it is for us about everybody exercising their rights without coercing their neighbors into following their moral or lifestyle standards.
There's probably very little daylight between your position and mine on this, and not for the sake of an argument, but that we don't need to be spending time painting rainbow walking crossing lines across the road in Cape Town, and we don't need to be trying to change what is an obviously abundant energy supply in this country. Coal, oil, we've got so many reserves off our coast. We've got fracking in the Karoo, if only that could happen. But we seem to have adopted Europe's position. It's not just the DA, it's the ANC as well, that have taken on this green energy and sustainable energy thing. I mean, people in this country, again, we've been having it. Most people in my neighborhood have had to put on solar panels because they can't depend on Eskom anymore. So we're already doing the sustainable stuff. But you can't power a country on that, and you can't power an industrial economy on that. And we know our economy has shrunk since we've stopped using the energy that we need, that Eskom could no longer provide. It's things like that that just don't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, our transmission grid is not optimized for solar and wind power. We will have to do massive upgrades to our grid in order to take energy that is generated from wind and sun in the Northern Cape and to power factories in the north of the country. So I don't know where this impression has come from that the DA is like a, green absolutist party. I think that solar is an important part of our energy mix, and thank goodness we can get cheap solar to make up for our utility producing electricity for the country. If it wasn't for rooftop solar, we'd probably still have load shedding. However, we do sit with massive deposits of coal in the Mpumalanga and the eastern part of our country, and that must be an important part of our energy mix. That should be the focus. We aren't Europe. We don't have the luxury of going net zero. We have to use what we have, and here in Pretoria, we've got 2 coal-fired power plants. One of them is probably so dilapidated that you can't do anything with it. But at Rooiwal, right next to the wastewater treatment plant, there is a substantially intact coal-fired plant. And with a bit of, upgrades and so on, it can burn coal and generate a significant amount of electricity, not by government, but probably by the private sector. So no, I also think if you listen to some of the interviews that Jordan Hill-Lewis, our new leader, has given, he's made it clear that deregulation and making it as easy as possible for people to do business in this country, to build stuff and to power whatever they do, including with coal as part of the energy mix in this country, is essential. We simply don't have the luxury to dream about a net zero future.
Okay, so what kind of future? I like looking forward, and I think you answered that very well, so we can move on. It's certainly not my intention to come on here and then start doing evaluations of each political party, but you're a guy who's been very forthright about what you want to achieve for Pretoria. Some people would say, well, second time round, what are you going to do differently? Donald Trump was president for 4 years and made a lot more mistakes in his first term. When he came back in the second term, he had a very, very strong agenda of getting rid of people who had stood in his way before by picking his counselors, stroke advisors, stroke cabinet members a lot more carefully. There's something to be said for people who maybe came in and there are a few things that they got wrong because it's an appalling, difficult job to try and fix a city. What kinds of shortcuts are you going to implement this time? What sort of lessons did you learn from last time that will allow you to do things differently if you win again?
So we had 18 months, and the benefit that I had in those 18 months was that I had been in government before, not as the mayor, but as a member of the mayoral committee when Salim Samanga was the mayor between 2016 and 2019. And I can honestly tell you that's where I learned most of my lessons. At that time, our coalition, DA, Freedom Front, ACDP, we didn't even have a majority among the 4 or 5 of us. And we literally had to negotiate with the ANC, the Party of Corruption, Cadre Deployment, and State Capture, or the EFF, the Party of Racism, Hatred, and Violence, to get our budgets passed and our policy decisions made. So I learned a great deal during that first go of it. And I also believe the DA learned that in certain circumstances, we should just not govern. If we can't either win a majority or put an ideologically coherent and responsible coalition together, we shouldn't try hold positions such as the mayor, because it just turns out to be a hostage situation where you get blamed for things that are outside of your power. But the big lesson for me, Gareth, is in the personnel that you choose. That determines the actual reality. You can have wonderful policies, and policies are important, but we need to follow a far more aggressive approach in getting rid of especially middle management. Because people look at the top management, they look at the city manager and the head of finance and so on. But the critical decisions about tenders, about the payment of invoices, the culture of employees, how they behave, what they respond to, that's determined by the middle managers. And I think the first problem is Tshwane has just too many of them, too many bureaucrats who don't have a clear job description. And secondly, we've got a very, very highly politicized, unionized culture. And I will say it outright that we are gonna make massive changes to the middle management, because you can't govern a city if you don't do that. The second thing we're going to do differently is a far bigger role for the private sector. You know, the president is even conceding now, and you've got Operation Vulindlela, national government, that they can't run the ports and the railways of our country. They just can't do it. They don't have the capital, they don't have the expertise. And I've come to the same conclusion about water, electricity, and waste collection. We need private concessions, private expertise, private investment to upgrade these things. Otherwise, services won't improve. Now, personnel and your service delivery model, those things we will certainly do differently this time.
Well, you know, sometimes the least sexy things are the things that actually should be spoken about. I mean, waste collection, water and electricity, these are the things people pay and care for their municipalities to do. They don't care about their municipality's ideological position on something. They probably don't even care who the mayor, what party the mayor comes from, as long as they get the job done. For me, one of the biggest things, you're going to be sick of this, so will the audience, but I keep thinking about this, is just how little respect we have for our capital city. I mean, you don't see new statues going up. You don't see new plazas or public parks being created. You don't see beautiful buildings. You see a lot of horrible architecture from the apartheid era, which is still all over the center of Pretoria. And you see lots of ugly buildings that are being put up now. I just wonder if we could ever have the kind of city. I've been to cities all over the world. I've seen amazing places. You know, you even look at the Middle East. It doesn't have to be old-fashioned. The Middle East has turned horrible little fishing towns in the middle of the desert into these unbelievable skyscraper-filled, super modern, unbelievably sustainable, effective, workable, and pleasant places to live in. And I just see like drug addicts and homeless people lying around in parks. I see rubbish and litter all over the place. I see blue light brigades going past people and almost knocking them over. It saddens me, Cilliers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. There are beautiful spaces in our city, new spaces being created. Unfortunately, they are in the east of Pretoria and Centurion, and it's private developers who are doing it, even putting up art and public art sculptures and so forth in new developments. But the question is, why is it not happening in our inner city? And I think the solution is we have to create a model for private sector investment in the inner city. And again, it's the boring stuff. But this is what's actually going to change things. When you see beautiful new developments in cities across the globe, it's important. The government's role is important. Obviously, you've got to provide the infrastructure and so on. But that's private money. That's private money being allowed to do the development. And the only thing I see working for us, given the financial situation of Tshwane and other places, is to roll out city improvement districts where you give property owners a kind of co-governing role in the streets, in the walkways, where they play a role in keeping things safe. We can say many things about Hatfield, how it used to be when you were there, when I was there, how it is now. But Hatfield is not a shithole. Hatfield is a place that could have been far worse had it not been for a guy called Lukas Lukov, who runs the City Improvement District, and the University of Pretoria, who's obviously the anchor tenant there and keeps that CID running. I mean, they clean their own streets. They've got their own security guards. And what I want to do is to roll out that model across our city. But of course, people are going to say, we already pay this high rates and taxes. We don't have extra money to pay levies to a CID. And that's why I think we should give CIDs the power to make some of their own money, to use public spaces, to put up advertisements, trading stalls, parking meters. If we can make these CIDs self-funded, I believe we can transform the city. We can get some of that private money to upgrade the broken down parts of our city.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Hatfield, because it is actually one of the best examples of where these city improvement districts can come to bear real fruit for those people who live in that area. But there are two things here. I mean, it's not all about money. And I hear you, like, you have to have money to spend, and someone's got to dig a hole, someone's got to build a brick wall, someone's got to fix pipes. I get that. So there was this interesting piece of research that was brought out last week about how spending on education does not always ensure that people actually get a better education. It was, I think, an American study. They've compared how much each state spends on education and what their results are, and sometimes they're very vastly different. It doesn't always relate to how much money is spent. So while I take your point about the private sector getting involved and all of that kind of thing,
can I just make one distinction? Can I make one distinction?
Yeah.
If you have 1,000 rand that goes through the supply chains of government, and you have 1,000 rand that goes through the supply chains of a private business. I mean, supply chains, just basically checking invoices, suppliers, making sure they get the job done. You are going to get 3 times, 4 times, maybe even 10 times your money's worth through the private channels, provided, of course, they aren't tenderpreneurs. So that's the point I'm making, is that money isn't necessarily the problem, but it is those rotten supply chains of government. And I have the full intention of fixing that. But firstly, we need to rely less on them, and we need to empower private, well-organized communities to take some of the responsibility of government, and not punish them by putting up rates and taxes and stuff.
So who are you up against? Who are the major contenders that you're going up against for mayor of the capital?
So the ANC haven't announced a candidate yet. I hear Fikile Mbalula says that they will choose their candidates in June, which is perfect, because that means that they will probably fight over that for 3 months. In that time, we will be campaigning, knocking on doors while they are beating each other up. So that suits us perfectly. But I would obviously relish the opportunity to go up against an ANC candidate. That it's a fairly talentless bunch in Tshwane, but I look forward to that. Some of the smaller parties have put up mayoral candidates, and for instance, I look forward to working with the likes of Willie Spies from the Freedom Front Plus. I don't think that's a major challenger to us. Obviously, if you split the opposition vote, that has got certain consequences. But we've worked with the Freedom Front Plus in the past before. We've got a good relationship. And I look forward to doing so in future.
Okay. What is the single biggest problem that needs urgent attention, and which this latest regime in Pretoria have not been able to succeed in Either they're helping it along, or they haven't opposed it sufficiently. What's the number one thing? Like, you got to obviously triage quite a lot of bleeding money, and there are obviously concerns that I don't know about.
We got to take back our city from the water tanker tenderpreneurs. If I can be as single-minded as that, 770 million rand is massive. It can really be a game changer for water and electricity in our city if we prioritize that. So taking back the tenders, the payments processes, the political leadership from the water tanker mafia, that is point number one. Obviously, you're not going to smash these guys immediately, but just by putting in some systems and controls and saying no and blocking people and identifying people who should be dismissed, you already make a difference. And I believe that's the primary motivator why we were kicked out of, why we removed from office. A couple of weeks before the motion of no confidence in me and our government, we implemented new performance standards for waste removal contractors, because at present the city contracts out most of that. We said your trucks can't be older than 8 years. They must be fitted with tracking devices, and all of your cars must be registered on eNatus, basic stuff. And if you've got subcontractors, those rules must apply to the subcontractors. That led to us eliminating 60% of waste collection contractors. And it's at that point that the ANC in Tshwane phoned up one of my colleagues, the MMC for Finance, Jackie Ace, and said, unless you abandon these new performance standards, we will bring a motion of no confidence in your mayor. And that is exactly what happened. And they got Action SA to support that. So, fighting corruption is not the whole thing. And I don't want to spend 5 years just firing people and, playing detective. But getting some control over the building is an important precondition to all of these other things, bringing in the private sector, private concessions, rolling out CIDs. If you don't have control of the building, then none of these other ideas are actually going to work.
Well, I'm glad that you're in the running here, and I hope you do very well. I really am just I'm disappointed often when I drive around Pretoria, but I do love the place, and I know you do too. And we've got lots of work to do. So hopefully that you get the opportunity to do this. It's an unenviable job. I asked Helen last time I saw her, and the last time I spoke to her on the show, why the hell? She's amazing. I mean, at her age, to be running for mayor of Joburg. Are you going to be doing any stunts like she is in Johannesburg?
Listen,
in potholes.
It's a constant talking point in my team. We get the team together and we're like, gee, how are we going to beat this? So, no, I mean, Helen is just so authentic, and it comes so naturally. So we'll do what comes naturally to us. Our polling numbers are looking good. We've got a branch in every ward, but yeah, hopefully we can come close to Helen's social media game.
All right. Well, listen, good luck. And that's what Michael says. A couple of comments here from people. Ms. Aculard says, to be honest, I've met Brink, and in him there is a trustworthy leader who has the heart of the people. Lots of really nice comments for you here. I hope it goes well, man. And we'll catch up soon. Thank you, Cilliers.
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for the chat.
All right. That is it for this morning, everybody. Enjoy your long weekend. Monday is a holiday, and then next Friday is a holiday, so we won't be on next week at all. But then coming up shortly after that, loads of exciting stuff. So stick around for all of that. I'll be updating you through the course of the week. Make sure that you're following us on social media. We'll be posting all the links to everything else that happened in the show that you might have missed a little bit later today. And there'll be some clips for you to share and send to your friends that are hilarious and or thought-provoking, make you laugh, make you think, make you cry. Those are the things we want. Hopefully you've had exactly that this morning. Only thing that would have made me cry this morning is probably the Coachella influences. Everything else made me laugh and made me think. So we'll catch up in 2 weeks' time. Have an awesome time and enjoy your long weekend. Bye.